Hello, everybody, and welcome to That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. I'm your host, Bill Yankovi, and this is our fun celebration of the holiday season. Hanukkah has just come to an end, or is about to come to an end, so I want to wish one more time a happy Hanukkah to all of our Jewish listeners out there, and Christmas is next. We all will have a healthy and safe 2021. This week on the show, this is going to be the show where we have a lot of fun, because today I will be doing a requested review. This is one that has been asked for quite a long time, and you know, we're right at the end of the season, right at the end of the year, so why not do a review? And I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Plus, there are two pay-per-views that we're going to preview here this week on That Wrestling Show. Final Battle, which is tonight, and this Sunday's TLC pay-per-view. So there is a lot going on in basically what is the last pay-per-view weekend of the entire year. There is some news, actually, to discuss. And let's start it off with Impact Wrestling. And they announced that at Genesis, which will be airing on Impact Plus on Saturday, January the 9th, they are bringing back the Super X Cup. This is the fourth edition of the Super X Cup. It is an 8-man single elimination tournament featuring X Division wrestlers. In the past, it has featured international talent. I don't think we're going to have international talent in this coming tournament. The original tournament took place in 2003, where Chris Sabin was the inaugural winner of that tournament, defeating Juventud Guerrera in the finals of that tournament. 2 years later, Samoa Joe would win that tournament, beating AJ Styles in the finals. The last edition of the Super X Cup was in 2017, during that weird time where Impact and Global Force Wrestling were working together, and Desmond Xavier ended up winning that one. He defeated Taiji Ishimori in the finals of that. As of right now, no names have been announced for this tournament. However, over the next couple of weeks, if you plan on watching Impact Wrestling, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. It's a year in review for the next 2 weeks, so unless you really want to catch up on what Impact did in 2020, this is kind of a skippable show to watch. But the Super X Cup tournament will be Saturday, January the 9th at Genesis, and you can watch that on Impact Plus. So check that out. Now, there is a new Hall of Fame. Yes, there is a new Hall of Fame. It is the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. And real briefly, I want to talk about what is this Hall of Fame. So this is from the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame website, which is prowrestlinghall.org, and it reads, "The International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame is a not-for-profit entity formed to preserve and honor the history of professional wrestling from around the world. Special attention will be given to ensure the contributions to professional wrestling by individuals from various backgrounds and diverse cultures will be highlighted in the establishment." On December 10th, 2019, the New York State Board of Regents approved a provisional charter for the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Included in the charter for the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame is the mission statement that reads, "The International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame is a not-for-profit entity formed to preserve and honor the history of professional wrestling from around the world. Special attention will be given to ensure the contributions to professional wrestling by individuals from various backgrounds and diverse cultures will be highlighted in the establishment. This is an incredible day. The Empire State is going to be the home for the IPWHF. The board of directors need to be commended for their work in accomplishing this milestone," said Tony Vellano. Tony had first instituted a Hall of Fame designated for professional wrestling in upstate New York in 1999. Eventually, that institution was moved to Texas after operating in New York for 16 years. "I knew we needed to bring the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame to the Northeast," said Seth Turner, president of the IPWHF. "In July 2019, I met with Tony Vellano to learn about his experience, and it inspired me to engage in trying to open a Hall of Fame. We have a great deal of work to do, but we also have a committed group of professionals who have the ability to make the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame a first-class institution. With the goal of having a first-class institution in mind, the Board of Trustees of the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame is now proceeding by building their website and social media platforms, planning fundraising, and negotiating with local governments who have expressed interest in hosting the establishment. The plan is to have a building secured, renovated, and ready to open in the next 12 months. Stay tuned for updates regarding the Hall of Fame." Well, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we couldn't have a building, or at least a building to open at the moment. Now, this inaugural class is, I would say, with the exception of the Observer Hall of Fame, maybe the biggest first class in the history of any wrestling Hall of Fame that I've ever seen, because there are 24 people that got inducted into this Hall of Fame. And there's a video presentation of this, which you can watch if you want. And basically, to make it short, they had 6 categories. And there were 15 wrestlers in each category. Over 40 people had a chance to vote. They got to place their vote. They could vote up to 5 people per category. The top 4 vote getters in each group would be inducted into the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. So, with that said, this was announced earlier this week. Here is the inaugural class for the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, the class of 2021. And this is in no particular order, so I will read it as it is posted on the website. The class of 2021 will consist of Bruno Sammartino, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Lou Thesz, Buddy Rogers, Frank Gotch, Danny Hodge, Terry Funk, Giant Baba, Ed Strangler Lewis, Mil Mascaras, Martin Farmer Burns, George Hackenschmidt, Evan Strangler Lewis, William Muldoon, The Great Gama, Yusef Ismail, or known as the Terrible Turk, Paul Pons, Ricky Dozan, the original Tiger Mask Satoru Sayama, Antonio Inoki, Stanislaus Zabisco, and Tatsumi Fujinami. That is the inaugural class for the the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. Now, if you are interested in going to the induction ceremony, well, I have the location and the date right here for you. It will be Saturday, August the 28th in Albany, New York at the Desmond. Now, if you would like more information on maybe getting early tickets to go to this induction ceremony, all you have to do is join their newsletter and they will send you information right away. So the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, their first class announced a class of 24 wrestlers. You have world champions all over the board on this one. This is an unbelievable class. Maybe one of the best classes I have ever seen. And I know that, there are people that question what is a legitimate Hall of Fame? Is this a real Hall of Fame? Just by this group alone, this is a legitimate Hall of Fame right here. I mean, they did a very good job. I have to commend the gentleman that got the ballot together. I have to commend the people who were on the committee to vote. It's a very tough job to vote for anything, really. Obviously this election proved it. And I think they did a really good job of picking and voting for the 24 people that would be the inaugural class of the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. If you want more information, prowrestlinghall.org is the place you want to go to find out more about them. Very, very interesting organization. Personally, I would love to have a chance to maybe interview somebody from here in 2021. Get some more information. Would be really cool. Sticking with the theme of Hall of Fames real quick, Ric Flair recently said in an interview that the WWE is building a physical Hall of Fame. And more than likely it would be in Orlando, Florida. I know we've heard this many, many times, and my honest opinion is I will wait to believe it until I see it. Okay, so there are 2 pay-per-views that are happening this weekend. Let's talk about the one that's going to happen tonight. Ring of Honor's Final Battle, their first pay-per-view in a year. Their last pay-per-view they had, Final Battle 2019. They had no pay-per-views up until tonight. This is a pretty stacked card. There are, in total, 8 matches. Almost all the titles are on the line. The only one that is not is the 6-man tag team title. That is because 2 of the competitors in that match, actually 2/3 of the 6-man tag team champions, tested positive for COVID before they even left to go to Baltimore for Final Battle. Bandito and Flamita were scheduled to be on the card. That match has been scrapped. EC3, who had a big match against Jay Briscoe, that match has been scrapped. And Kenny King, even though he was not on the card, he also tested positive, so he will not be at the event this weekend. So let's take a look at the card, and I'm going to give you my predictions for who will win all these matches here at Final Battle. We'll start off with Danhausen going up against Brian Johnson. Now, this is an interesting situation because Danhausen has signed a Ring of Honor contract. The only problem is it goes into effect if he wins this match at Final Battle. If he loses this match, he will not be a part of Ring of Honor. Well, get ready to see a lot more Danhausen because Danhausen is going to beat Brian Johnson in that match. Danhausen will be seeing him in 2021. For the first time ever, a Pure Rules tag team match is going to take place as Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus, members of the Foundation, will face Wheeler Yuta and Fred Yehi, two men who really impressed me during the Pure title tournament. So, what are the rules of a Pure Wrestling tag team match? Well, besides the standard rules for a singles match, these rules are going to be in effect. A legal tag requires the wrestler on the apron to reach over the top rope and tag his partner hand to hand while holding the tag rope with his other hand. Each wrestler has 5 seconds to exit the ring after a tag is made. And each time a team breaks up a pinfall or submission, that team will lose a rope break. Breaking up a pinfall or submission when a team is out of rope breaks will result in a disqualification. So, with the rules all put into play, this is going to be... I'm very interested to see where this is going to go. I do think Williams and Titus are going to win this match, however. That is my prediction. Jonathan Gresham is going to be a very busy man at Final Battle. He's got 2 matches. He will defend the Pure title against Flip Gordon in his first title defense since winning the title. This is going to be a very good match. I'm really looking forward to it. But Jonathan Gresham just got the belt. He just won the belt. So I think Gresham is going over there. The second match is for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles, where he teams up with his partner Jay Lethal as they will face the, well, I think unusual is the wrong word for this team. I mean, probably more unique would be the right way to put it, of PCO and Mark Briscoe. This is a very interesting match. I think it's even more interesting now that Jay Briscoe does not have a match on the card. I think Lethal and Gresham are going to keep the belts. They really didn't defend the titles that much before the pandemic, so why take the belts off of them? I think Gresham and Lethal are going to keep them. We got a big grudge match at Final Battle tonight. Vincent and Bateman are going to team up. They're going to face Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. This is going to be an absolute war. I see Vincent and Bateman winning this one. I think this is going to continue the feud. Going to be very interesting to see how this turns out. Well, Jonathan Gresham will not be the only person to be wrestling 2 times tonight at Final Battle, as there will be a 4-corner survival match where the winner of that match will face the Ring of Honor World Television Champion Dragon Lee later in the show for the television title. The competitors are Tony Deppen, Dak Draper, LSG, and Josh Woods. I'll tell you, all 4 of these guys have a legit case to win this match. I think the popular pick is Josh Woods, but I'm going to go Dak Draper to win this match. And then later on, I see Dak Draper beating Dragon Lee to become the new Ring of Honor World Television Champion. And then the main event of Final Battle 2020 for the Ring of Honor World title, Roosh will defend the title against Brody King. The last time we saw Roosh, he beat PCO to win back the Ring of Honor World title for the second time. I'm going to tell you, the way that they've been really pushing Brody King on television these last several weeks has got me thinking Brody King is going to be your next Ring of Honor World Champion. And I really think that's what's going to happen. Brody King will win the Ring of Honor World title tonight at Final Battle over Roosh. Can't wait for that show to take place tonight. Okay, so, one of the things that I really like about doing a podcast and being able to talk to you, the listeners, is getting requests. Every once in a while, I'll get a request to maybe review something or discuss something. And one particular fan in general, Nick Opalewski, he's asked this show to do some reviews in the past. We've reviewed Brain Behind the Brawn, and we've reviewed an episode of WCW Saturday Night. So about a month and a half ago, he had asked me to do a review, and this is, I'm going to be completely honest, he has asked for this particular review of what I'm about to talk about more than once. I will be honest. It is more than once that he has asked for this review. And, I felt like it's the holiday season. The holiday season. No, I'm just kidding. And I was like, you know what? Let's go right ahead. Let's do this review. It is WWF Smack'em Whack'em. Now, for those of you that may not be familiar with Smack'em Whack'em, this is an old Coliseum video that you can find on the WWE Network. So you don't have to be, well, like me, who spent money to buy the videotape of it on eBay. Although I still prefer the physical copy over digital. That is my honest opinion. That is what I feel about it. So this is a long requested review, and we're going to find out how good this tape is right now, because I'm going to be reviewing WWF Smack'em Whack'em. This video came out in early 1993, right around the time of WrestleMania 9, just before, not too far away from WrestleMania 9. And our lordship, Alfred Hayes, is the host of this videotape. And, being Lord Alfred Hayes, such a dedicated man, he will go just about anywhere to do a review or to host a Coliseum video. Well, that's because he's at a construction site of a dilapidated house. No, don't worry, Matt Hardy is nowhere to be found on this videotape. So, he is there because the Bushwhackers are the heads of this construction site. And they're going to be doing construction work on this dilapidated house. So the Bushwhackers tell us that their number one thing they do, their one phrase before they do any construction work is safety first. Remember that phrase. So they give Lord Alfred Hayes a hard hat. They give him a pair of binoculars, and they give him some gloves. So as they're preparing him to help with the construction, we go to our first match, and it is Crush against the Berserker. Yep, it is just exactly how it sounds. Crush versus the Berserker. It's a kind of match. It's not really too grand of a match. Nothing really to talk about. Nothing exciting really happening. Crush wins with the Crush Vice Grip. Berserker, now to Berserker's credit, he does not tap out. He passes out. He never said I give up. He never said I quit. He just passed out from the pain. So Crush gets the win here to start off Smack 'em, Whack 'em. Back at the dilapidated house, the Bushwhackers are going to take a piece of wall down to put in a window. So Butch, reminding us, safety first, has a sledgehammer and is about ready to take down this piece of the wall when Luke stops him and draws an X on where Butch is supposed to hit with the sledgehammer. So, Butch gets ready, Butch gets set, and he misses the spot. He misses the spot by about 3 feet, and to the lower right. So, instead of trying it again and hitting the right spot, they continue to just keep going. Which takes us to our next match, Earthquake versus the Repo Man. Yeah, Earthquake versus the Repo Man. Thrilling match. Now, to Repo Man's credit, and this is to his credit, he tries to be Big Man with the Earthquake, but it just doesn't quite work. He does eventually knock Earthquake down, but it's not a long advantage. And Repo Man, when he has this brief advantage, makes the one mistake towards the end of the match, a cardinal mistake by a veteran. He decides to climb the top rope, and this is a kind of an interesting way because he starts on the right side, and then he goes around the post to the left side. And he climbs the top rope, Earthquake catches him. One Earthquake splash later, Earthquake beats Repo Man in a very forgettable match. So now we go back to the dilapidated house, where the Bushwhackers have run into a bit of a problem. See, the window that they were going to put, well, there's electric wire there. So you can't really take the wall down with electric wire there. So they ask Lord Alfred Hayes to hold the wire. Remember when, in the beginning of this video, Lord Alfred Hayes had a pair of gloves on him? Nope. Nowhere to be found. And then, just a few seconds later, Lord Alfred Hayes is electrocuted. Although, I do have to admit, his facial reaction is absolutely hilarious. It's not a Daniel Stern Home Alone facial reaction. It's not a punch to the nut facial reaction. It's just a, hey, I'm getting electrocuted, please help me. And he's making all these different noises, faces, while there's this noise going on, like electrical noise, like, and we lose power. And that's the end of the videotape. No, I'm just kidding. I had to do that. So the Bushwhackers find the emergency light, and they realize that they've electrocuted poor Lord Alfred Hayes. Well, I think now is a good time to go to Cooking for the Single Man with Yokozuna. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. The guys at our Vantage Point love this bit. They just love this bit. Is it as good as they say it is? Yeah, it's pretty good. So, here's the scene. Mean Gene Okerlund joins Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji for dinner. And this is supposed to be cooking for the single guy. And they're at a hibachi place. Now, I don't know how many of our listeners have ever been to a hibachi restaurant. If you've never been to a hibachi restaurant, I recommend you going to one just to say you've done it. Unless you are afraid of fire. Because there is like that brief moment where there is fire But other than that, it is an awesome experience. So, Mr. Fuji and Mean Gene, they talk about how, they get Yokozuna prepared and how they keep him fed. And apparently, Yokozuna eats 15,000 calories a day. Boy, if the doctors of the world today knew that he ate 15,000 calories back then, oh my. So, after being given warm napkins, we get some appetizers, and it's raw fish. Now, I do want to clear up for the record, it is not sushi. It is raw fish. And Mean Gene gets a plate, Fuji gets a plate, Yokozuna's got like 2 towers worth of raw fish, and he eats it, and Mean Gene is just impressed. So then, after they eat the appetizer, the chef named Lou comes out to start cooking. Now, I'm going to be honest, he doesn't look like a Lou. He's more of a Sam to me. That's just my opinion. He looks more of a Sam. So, now the main course is being made. There's 10 steaks, 10 ribeye steaks being made. And, they're being cut up, and there's so much rice and shrimp and broccoli that Mean Gene can't believe that one individual can eat this much food. And I gotta give credit to Mean Gene. Mean Gene's great. He's like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. He's gonna eat all of that? Oh, my word. But the star of this is Mr. Fuji. And I'm going to tell you why Mr. Fuji's the star of this bit. Mr. Fuji is a heel manager. He's hated. But yet, he is so nice to Gene Okerlund in this bit. It is hilarious. Because it's like, oh, you're very, very, very welcome, Mr. Mean Gene. So, Yoko eats all this food. It's absolutely amazing. And again, this is from a hibachi restaurant, which, again, if you've never been to one, I recommend you go to one. And at the end of this whole skit, which is like 10 minutes, Mean Gene's like, oh, I'm done. I don't know, what else to do. What else is there left? And Mr. Fuji's like, oh, there's dessert. Dessert? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. That's the only disappointment about this bit, is I sort of want to see Yokozuna eat dessert. Not lie, I wanted to see Yokozuna eat dessert. I mean, after he devoured the raw fish, after he ate the ribeye steak, the shrimp, the broccoli, the fried rice, I kind of wanted to see him eat dessert, just for kicks. Now we go to a profile on Bret the Hitman Hart, and Gorilla Monsoon is there, and he's there to talk with Bret Hart, who is, at the time that this tape is released, or we believe is released, the World Wrestling Federation champion. So, Gorilla's like, you're going to go down as perhaps the fightingest champion in World Wrestling Federation history. Oh, I defend this belt against everybody. I want to be the best, and I am. So, they first talk about this ladder match with Shawn Michaels. This is when Bret was the Intercontinental Champion. This is a Coliseum video exclusive. This match has never been seen anywhere except the people in the arena. Now, historical facts. This is the original ladder match for the World Wrestling Federation. This is the very first ladder match. Why this didn't get put on TV? Who knows? So Bret and Shawn have the match. Sensational Sherry is out there. This is a fun match. And in a way, it's kind of a predecessor of what we're going to see over the next 25 years as far as ladder matches go. What I like, there's so many things about this match I like. The way Bret and Shawn interact it's very good. Even though at times they could be a little bit cautious, they're still very good at what they are doing. Secondly, the commentary is done very well. Like, the beginning of the match, there's one line that Gorilla says that I was like, oh my god, he's right. Because when Brett gives the belt, the Intercontinental belt, to the referee, and it's being set up, Gorilla Monsoon has this line of, Bret Hart has basically just lost his title. I never really thought of it like that. He's so true. Another great thing about the commentary is how Lord Alfred Hayes sticks up for Sensational Sherry. He's like, oh, she'll never get involved in this match, Gorilla. She wouldn't do such a thing. But Sensational Sherry does get involved a couple of times in this match. This is a fun match to watch. Is this the greatest ladder match of all time? No. Not by a long shot. But this is a fun ladder match, especially in 1992 when this match was filmed. It is a very good match. The end comes when Bret Hart does a drop kick on the ladder. Shawn falls off the ladder, crotches himself, goes out to the floor. Sherry is trying to console him. Bret climbs up, and I love how Gorilla's like, oh, he's almost there. Oh, now he's there. He's now got it. And Bret Hart retains the Intercontinental title in a very fun match. Now, if you've ever watched on WWE Network, when they used to have WWE Countdown, they had a list of, I think it was like the 10 craziest ladder matches of all time. And they gave an honorable mention to this match. And Bret talks about how he asked Vince if he watched this match. And Vince said, no, I didn't watch the match. How could you not watch a match you've never... It's amazing. It is amazing. You know, if Vince had watched it, he probably would have really enjoyed it. It was a hell of a match. So, we go back to Bret and Gorilla, and Gorilla really sticks with this theme of Bret Hart is a fighting champion, and he really would face anybody of any size. So this next match, he's going to face Kamala, the Ugandan giant. Now, Kamala is still at this time managed by Harvey Whippleman and Kim Chi. So they have this rare opportunity to be the heavyweight champion of the world. Bret Hart has only had the belt for like 2 weeks. He's really had it for a short period of time. So the match is a unique match, and it's kind of a good big man, little man match. And it's not your stereotypical big man, little man match where the big guys take a complete control. Bret Hart is a smart wrestler in this match. He's smart, he's done very well, and he was able to do this match, and it's a good match. It's actually a decent match. They use the idea or the fact that Kamala does not wear shoes. Bret Hart stomps on his feet. It's good. And in the end of the match, Kamala tries to splash Bret Hart with Kim Chi holding him. Bret moves out of the way, hits Kim Chi. Bret gets a roll up. 1, 2, 3. Bret Hart retains the World Wrestling Federation title. After the match, Kamala attacks Bret Hart, and Kim Chi and Harvey Whippleman are holding Bret down. And Kamala's gonna splash Bret Hart. But Bret moves out of the way, and in the process moves his arms to get Harvey Whippleman into his spot and Kamala splashes Whippleman for his troubles. Kimchi gets beat up, Whippleman gets sent to the floor, and Bret Hart stands in celebration. And now, we get to the big part. This is probably the reason why, if you were fortunate enough to buy this videotape, this is probably the reason why you bought this videotape. Because this is another Coliseum video exclusive. Never aired on television. Bret Hart versus Ric Flair for the World Wrestling Federation title. Bret Hart says that he felt this was his one and only chance to win the World Wrestling Federation title. This was the only chance he would ever get to win this belt. And he had to do it. And the fact that the match was held in Saskatchewan, in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, where his dad is from, he's from Saskatchewan, just added the pressure a little bit more. Bret Hart also talks about how he sprained his ankle 2 or 3 minutes into this match and had a dislocated finger during the match. Now, let's talk about the real facts. Ric Flair had a problem with his ear, and it was affecting his balance. It was a very weird situation. So, Vince kind of made an audible call to take the title off of Ric Flair, because the way it looked, the way they were going to build this up, you had the main event of the Survivor Series was going to be Ric Flair and Razor Ramon against the Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man Randy Savage. That was the main event of the Survivor Series. And allegedly, that being the key word, allegedly, it was going to lead into WrestleMania 9, where it was going to be Ric Flair versus the Ultimate Warrior for the belt, and the Warrior was going to win it. Allegedly. I cannot confirm or deny that story. So, Ric Flair has this ear problem. It's affecting his equilibrium. He's not as good or as healthy as he should be. So instead of risking having your world champion be in a position where he can't make the shows, Vince kind of calls an audible and decides we need to take the title off of him. He can't be champion, if he's going to have this, if he has this problem. So, there was only one guy to do it, Bret Hart. Bret Hart has been in this company at this time for 8 years. He's been the tag team champion twice. He's been Intercontinental champion twice. And it was an emergency call, actually. Like, Bret was on a different tour at the time, and he was on the next flight to Saskatoon to make this title match. This match, while it is long, and it is long, it is 20 plus minutes, it's a good match. It is a good match. You get good quality wrestling out of these two guys. Good back and forth, hold for hold, move for move, no cheating whatsoever, just good quality wrestling. And you do see, and you got to catch it, where Bret does pop his finger back in. You have to catch it, because if you got to catch it real quick, otherwise you're going to miss it. So the end of the match, Ric Flair goes to the top rope. Bret catches him, throws him off. He hits a series of moves, goes for the sharpshooter, locks it on. He's got the sharpshooter on. Mr. Perfect gets up on the apron, distracts the referee. While he's doing this, Ric Flair is submitting. He's giving up to the sharpshooter. Referee doesn't see it. Perfect is told to get down. Referee turns around. Ric Flair is saying, yes, I give up, I submit, I surrender. Ring that bell. Bret Hart, the new World Wrestling Federation champion in his home country, in Canada, in the province where his dad grew up in Saskatchewan. And Bret Hart is the new World Wrestling Federation champion. And he goes on to have about a 5-month reign. Yeah, about a 5-month reign as World Wrestling Federation champion, almost 6 months, where in the early stages of that run, he defends the title against everybody. I mean, heck, Virgil gets a title match on Superstars. You don't believe me? Go to WWE Network. Watch Superstars. Virgil gets a championship match. So Gorilla, once again, says, you know, Bret, when this is all done, you'll be known as the hardest fighting champion ever. You know, I just want to thank the fans for sticking by me, and that I am the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And that's our profile on Bret Hart. I have to say, a tremendous job on the profile segment, because up until there, the 2 matches we had were clunkers. They were bad matches. These 3 actually saved this video. They saved this video, believe it or not. So, Lord Alfred Hayes has managed to recover from being electrocuted, somehow. We believe Butch gave CPR. And they now need to fix a pipe, a water pipe. Remember, safety first. So, they ask Lord Alfred Hayes to help them put his finger in this hole to help the water. Well, Luke's working on the pipe, and all the water's going all over Lord Alfred Hayes. So, within about the last 45 minutes, Lord Alfred Hayes has been electrocuted and drowned. He's died twice. Now we go to the final match on our videotape, Razor Ramon against The Undertaker. And this is a very interesting match. This is, I believe, and again, I could be wrong, the first time Razor Ramon and The Undertaker wrestled each other. And I hate to say this, it is not a good match. Basically, the whole point of the match, Razor doesn't want to wrestle Undertaker. He is finding any way possible to not wrestle this guy. But yet, he's got to do it. He's got to do it. So, Razor hits a couple of moves. You know, Undertaker goes out over the top. Nothing really happens. And then the end of the match, Razor grabs the urn. Paul Bearer, you know, he's upset. He's distracting the referee. Hits Undertaker with the urn. You'd think it'd be over. 1, 2, Undertaker kicks out. He gets up, he goozles Razor, hits him with a choke slam, and 1 choke slam is 1 too many for Razor Ramon. He gets out of the ring, he goes to the back. Undertaker wins as a result of a countout. Oh boy. Yeah. Probably the first time these two ever met. That's how this goes. So we go back to Lord Alfred Hayes and the Bushwhackers and the dilapidated house. And the Bushwhackers are very sorry for what happened to Lord Alfred Hayes. I mean, heck, he was electrocuted. He kind of drowned. He beat death twice. So they want to make it up to him. So they bring in a lounge chair and they have him sit down and they're going to put the TV on. And Lord Alfred Hayes can sit and watch his favorite Coliseum videos. You know, I kind of wonder what his favorite Coliseum videos are. I really, really wonder. So the Bushwhackers, they're going to go get him, you know, snacks, something to drink. They got a table and a TV set up. And as we send the tape to the end. We hear a crashing sound. We believe the TV broke, and the Bushwhackers are like, oh no! And that is the end of Smack'em Whack'em. So, what do I think of this videotape? Well, the two matches before the Bret Hart profile and the match after the Bret Hart profile are bad. They are bad. They're very skippable. The saving grace of this is Cooking for the Single Man and the Bret Hart profile. That is what saves this tape to me. Because if those two bits were not there, I would be hating on this tape so much. Plus, the interaction between Lord Alfred Hayes and the Bushwhackers was actually kind of funny. Not, haha, it's hilarious, gut-busting funny, but it was funny in its own way. So, I'm gonna give this a thumbs up. Only because if you have never seen this, you need to see the Cooking for the Single Man segment, and you need to see the Bret Hart profile with the 3 matches. The other stuff, Crushing the Berserker, Earthquake Repo Man, Undertaker Razor Ramon, are very, very skippable. Other than that, this is a pretty good tape. Not gonna lie. This is a good tape, and that is my review of Smack'em Whack'em. Well, now it is time to preview this Sunday's TLC pay-per-view. I'm only going to do the matches that WWE has announced as of, well, whenever you guys are listening to this. So I'm going to make predictions on the matches that have already been announced. So I'll begin with the Raw Tag Team title match. The New Day will defend against Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. I gotta believe this is Cedric and Shelton winning the tag team titles. I just can't see it being any other way but Shelton and Cedric winning the tag team titles. I can't see New Day holding on to the tag team titles. I just cannot. Women's tag team titles on the line. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler will defend against Asuka and, well, we don't know. Originally, it was going to be Lana, but Lana was taken out on Raw this Monday night. So, now we're wondering, who is Asuka going to pick? I can tell you the name that a lot of people think it's going to be is Charlotte Flair. Which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, we haven't seen Charlotte in, 5-6 months, just about. Another name I've heard is Ronda Rousey. I don't think it's going to be Ronda Rousey. I will say this. If it was still Asuka and Lana against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, I'd say we would have new tag team champions. But since it's not, and I don't know who the partner's going to be, I'm going to say Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler retain the tag team titles. That's going to be my prediction. SmackDown Women's title. Oh boy, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this match. Sasha Banks against Carmella. Sasha Banks wins the match. Now, this match was added yesterday on WWE.com. It is the Fiend Bray Wyatt against Randy Orton in a Firefly Inferno match. Basically, it is an Inferno match. I was gonna say, before they made this, an Inferno match, that Bray Wyatt was going to win this match. But now that it's an Inferno match, I don't think they'd have Randy get burned in this. I really don't. So I think Randy Orton's going to win this match. If it was just a regular match or a different stipulation, I'd say The Fiend would win. But now that it's an Inferno match, I don't know. I think Randy's going to win that one. Roman Reigns defends the Universal Championship against Kevin Owens in a TLC match. It would be cool to see KO win this, but it's going to be Roman Reigns. And the WWE Championship will be defended also in a TLC match. Drew McIntyre defending against AJ Styles. It is going to be Drew McIntyre that retains the WWE title. And that is your preview of TLC. And that's going to be a wrap-up of this week's show. But before we go, if you have any questions or comments, send an email, wrestlingman@thatwrestlingshow.com. Don't forget to follow the show on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Join the Facebook group, That Wrestling Show fan group. You put it in the search bar. You type it in the search bar. You're right there. If you can't find it, it's okay. I put the link in the description of each and every episode. And if you like what you hear, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/thatwrestlingshow. Now, one more thing I want to mention before I get into the plugs. This coming Monday is the announcement of the annual That Wrestling Awards show. Going to announce all the nominees in the categories that, we've put up. It's going to be very interesting to see who gets nominated. We've had some vote, or we've had people, get nominated. Going to be really interesting to see how this all turns out. All right, let's get to plug some other shows. Check out our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast with Joe Murata and Michael Quinn. This week, they discuss what went wrong with the Ultimate Warrior as World Wrestling Federation Champion. Plus, Week 2 of the Royal Rankings of the Best Feuds, and a review of WFWA Wrestling. That is this week on our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast. Also, check out Greetings from Allentown with Peter Winston. He watches one episode of wrestling each week in his own unique perspective. This week, he watches an episode of AWA All-Star Wrestling from March 16th, 1986. That is this week on Greetings from Allentown. And check out Juice Pro Wrestling, where this week they interview Beastman. No, not from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, but Beastman. He shares stories about New Jack and the Necro Butcher, plus working with Warrior Wrestling and so much more. That is this week on Juice Pro Wrestling. If you're looking for non-wrestling related podcasts, check out the Best Pick Movie Podcast with Tom, John, and Jess as they watch each and every Academy Award-winning Best Picture winner in no particular order. This week, they discuss the Best Picture winner from 2009, The Hurt Locker. I have to admit, I have seen this movie, although it's been a long time. Not a big fan of this movie, believe it or not. If I had to pick, I think I would go with Up as my pick for the Best Picture of the year out of this group. And it's a pretty big group. Some good movies there. But that's just what I would have picked. But check it out anyway. It is the Best Pick Movie Pod. Also, check out the Three Stooges Throwback with Gabe Russo. He watches each and every Three Stooges short. This week, he reviews Dizzy Doctors. This week on the Three Stooges Throwback. Also, check out Unspooled with Paul and Amy, as in this season, they talk about effed up families. This week, they discuss the 2019 Chinese-American family reunion movie, The Farewell. That is this week on Unspooled. Plus, The Castle Vault, a chronological deep dive of Disney animated films powered by Disney+. This week, they discuss Zootopia. That is this week on The Castle Vault. Also, check out Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, where this week they sit down with longtime singer and studio vocalist Scotty Haskell, who has been a backup singer, or was a backup singer on Weird Al's 2019 Strings Attached tour. So check it out this week on Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. Also check out, if you haven't, the latest in our mini-series of Wrestling with COVID. Myself, Jim Boy Star, and Josiah, we talk about the latest things going on where we are, plus some wrestling news related with COVID-19. And check out Sharks Pond, a South Park podcast, where I review each and every South Park episode. This week, it is the finale of Season 10 of South Park, and I discuss the episode Stanley's Cup. That is this week on Sharks Pond, a South Park podcast. Alright, next week is the season finale. We have made it through another year of professional wrestling. Probably going to go down as one of the most bizarre, craziest years that you and I, ladies and gentlemen, will have ever lived through as a fan of professional wrestling. Next week, going to take a look at, well, some of the highs of 2020 and discuss the lows of this year in professional wrestling. Plus, reviews of Final Battle and TLC. Don't forget the season premiere of that wrestling show. We will be back in 2021 on January the 8th. So until next time, next week, for the season finale of that wrestling show, everybody have a good, safe weekend, no matter where you are. If you're up in the Northeast, I'm kind of jealous because of all the snow you got. I'd love to be in the snow right now. But come back next week for another episode of That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all wrestling matters. And as always, safety first.